Good evening and welcome to another episode of Poor vs. Standard. Poor here. As always, we are not financial advisors and any information within these podcasts are for entertainment purposes only. Please don't sue us. Don't do it. Also, if you find any information valuable within these podcasts, feel free to join our Patreon at patreon.com/poorvstandard. You can also reach out to us on our Gmail at poorvstandard@gmail.com. TikTok, we are vs_poor. And as always, you can find Standard over on the TikToks with the Poor V Standard handle on TikTok. So with that, let's get into it. What do you say? I apologize that this is a little late coming out, but it was necessary as I was out camping in the rain all weekend. And it sucked, not going to lie. Camping is always a miserable experience when everything is wet, and it's not the camping so much as the rain. If it's too hot or it's just raining and you can't do anything because it's raining, well, camping isn't nearly as fun. Hey, you want to cook something on the fire? Can't. Why? Oh, it's raining. Hey, you want to get out of the tent? Can't. Why? It's raining. But I digress. I hope you all had a more enjoyable weekend. And I hope your weekend was at least enjoyable, because today being Monday, July 19th, it was not enjoyable. Everything was bloody. Didn't matter where you put your money. Everything was blood red. And I did name this episode Blood Red and Red Wine with the WHINE because you will know that people tend to whine more and cry more when things are red. They feel the pain. It's not physical pain, but it is emotional pain because they just lost a lot of money. And your brain interprets the pain the same way, and they feel hurt because they lose the money. And you can have a lot of loss, and you can have a little loss, and the pain is still the same. Your brain interprets it that much. And if you have a green day, you're euphoric, you're happy, I want to buy more. Red days come, I don't want to buy. I want to sell because I want to stop the loss. I want to stop the hemorrhaging. This is the exact opposite mindset of what you need to have, because people who sell out when prices are at all-time lows are going to regret it. These are the people who are going to quit out. These are the people that are going to just divest from all their positions, sell everything they have, and basically believe that the stock market is a scam for hedge funds, that they will never be able to beat the system, as it were. Now, there may be an inkling of truth to some of that, as far as it is definitely rigged in the hedge fund's favor. The SEC is a piece of shit that doesn't do their job right. And we're currently in the process of exposing that with the whole AMC Ape Strong Ooga Booga movement that's happening. And I am enjoying sitting on the sidelines for much of that. I've got my, 20, 30 shares of AMC, and I'm with the movement. I understand it. I want to be a little bit a part of it, but I'm with you, but I have bills to pay, and I am not ultra wealthy, so I cannot put everything I own into it. However, this is what happens is, on red days, you feel like you have to sell. And sometimes you actually do have to sell when you get margin called, which also happens to the big boys. And that's what happened to the whole Archegos thing. He got margin called and didn't have the money to back it up, because he was on margin debt to a lot of different people for way more than he should have been. And that's what happened with that Viacom stock and that whole issue. And and then you want to buy on green days. But the people who are buying on the dips on the red days and then selling when they make profits on the green days, even if it's only a 20% up, I mean, some people trade all year to get 20%. And I mean, currently right now, the public portfolio is underwater, actually. It is not doing well on the year at all. And I mean, our current account value has dipped down into the sub 25,000 range by a lot. And it's not because of crazy, ridiculous options YOLOing. It's because the market is taking a giant shit. And there is nothing I can do to stop that. The thing I can do to make it worse is if I sold out of all my positions right now. That would lock in those losses. I did my due diligence on these companies. I know their worth. The market doesn't realize that worth yet. So I can buy more if I have the dry powder to do so. But selling them right now is not something I'm even entertaining the thought of. I would rather, take out some type of loan than sell these things, because the only way I realize these losses right now is if I sell. I would buy more, and when they go up 10, 20%, I would sell out. And that's essentially what I've done here with Coinbase is I buy this when it hits the two teens. As you can see, my cost basis for it was $214.54 when it dropped down this morning, and it's already up to $220. I'll probably sell out in the $245 range. And I've been doing this back and forth a few times. And yeah, I've made, because I only do it with one share, I've only ever done it, a handful of times. So, it's not a lot of money, but little by little, grow the bananas. So you do that a couple times, do that a few times, do it with a larger position, and boom, you're up your 20%, no problem. And if you can recognize these patterns in stocks, you can make a lot of money while they're, range bound. I did this a year ago with like Rite Aid, Dropbox, a couple others. But yeah, it's nice when you can find those kinds of patterns. But this episode, I just wanted to, touch base with you all and let you know that it's not a good idea to sell into loss, because you're feeding the loss, and your mind is not where it should be if you're thinking of selling into a loss. Wait for the green days. I know they're like, oh yeah, this is another red day, a week, 6 trading days ago, this account value was at 30,000. We've lost 33%. I've been down between $500 and $1,000 every single day for the last 6 to 7 trading days. Yeah, it sucks real freaking hard, I'm not going to lie. And if I was emotional, I'd be selling out of these positions like, oh, thank God I stopped the bleeding. No, I'm not that guy. That's not me. I'm the guy who says, okay, so this has gone down another 5-10%. Let's buy those dips. Let's get there. Let's do this. You're not going to make wealth by selling out at losses. You're going to make wealth by holding through the rough patches and looking out at that 5-year horizon. And that's how you build wealth. You don't build it by selling into loss. Now, if you haven't done your due diligence on the companies and you don't believe in them, and that's scary as hell, you can sell out. You have my blessing to do whatever the hell you want to do. I am not a financial advisor. But that's not how I play the game. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you on that, and then kind of talk about the, massive dips that we have had in the markets. Just to take a look, you have Bitcoin is down in the 30,000 range. Ethereum is under 2,000. It's at 1,785. Cardano is at $1.09, and I will be loading up on that probably within the next couple days. It's incredible to see how low these things have gotten. And yeah, I will definitely be buying more Cardano. Probably some Ethereum and Bitcoin too. And yeah, the stock market's bloody, and there's a number of deals to be had. But again, this public portfolio that I've shown you is a lot of growth companies, like hyper growth companies and super growth companies. The way to stop the bleeding on this, because if growth gets hit, this portfolio gets hit real hard. The way to stop that in your portfolio is if you have divested into other companies like Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Google, Alphabet, I guess, Disney, those kinds of things. The more stable companies that have a potential to grow higher, but they're also like, close to, if not over $1 trillion in value. Yes, it's going to take a lot more for them to move up, but it also takes a lot more for them to move down rapidly. So they're a little more stable than these, $100 million companies. I mean, Planet 13 is what, 100 million, couple 100 million, maybe market cap. Let's take a look there. Market cap. Yeah, just like a billion. Is that right? 1.21 million. Yeah. So barely $1 billion market cap. And yeah, there's legislation on the floor to decriminalize marijuana federally now. So that's a thing that might happen. So watch out for Planet 13. But this is, just to let you know that no, I haven't abandoned you in this time of redness. But I did have a long weekend and it was a little rough. So this episode got out a little late and I do apologize. But I just wanted to, again, touch base, let you know that this is normal. You're going to see these kinds of corrections if you're in the market long enough. And it's the people who look at these as opportunities that are going to make it out ahead. So I just wanted to say, hey, I understand the pain. I'm there with you. I mean, 33% down in that portfolio. That hurts a lot. It does. But I can't offer you any swinging for the fences plays on this kind of thing right now. I mean, if you looked at the S&P 500, it took a giant shit. We were up at almost 440, right, for a SPY. Now you're down like $13, $14 from that high. And it's bloody all over. Indices, it doesn't matter where you look, there's blood. So people who have puts on things probably doing okay. But yeah, and AMC is just, it's fighting an unfair fight. So is GameStop, so is Clove. But eventually their losses are insurmountable and they have to eventually cover, at least in a fair fight. That's how that works. And right now with the whole AMC and everything like that update, I'm thinking it's very similar to the 2008 market crash where Michael Burry was the only one who could see it. And so you have not just one person, but an entire movement of people seeing this thing and how it should be going. And it's not going that way because they're cheating. But eventually the house of cards that they've built will have to fall. There's no way to avoid it. It is inevitable. And there's been speculation as to how many synthetic shares are out there. And I don't want to get into that because I don't want to speculate on the whole thing I can't prove. But if it's provable, someone much smarter than me is going to prove it. And on that day, that will be horrific. And you will see the price of GameStop and AMC and all this shoot up immensely. Just to get behind the whole AMC, GameStop, Clove thing. GameStop and AMC, they never had any intention of covering those shorts. They basically like to do this. Did it at Toys R Us where they short the shit out of the company until it's bankrupt, and then they don't have to cover them. They just get to keep all of the money. That's what they planned to do with those two companies. People on Reddit figured out the game, and they're like, hey, if we just keep buying these, they will have to cover. And it will become unprofitable for them to keep their position. And that's what happened. And then you saw just the utter crazy 100% days and nuts things that happened with brokerages like halting trading on specific tickers, and it was insane to say the least. But yeah, they didn't ever have the intention of covering it. So now that they have to, because they are no longer in danger of going to zero, those two companies don't have any debt and are reinventing themselves. They still don't want to cover their positions because they're concerned as to what that means. Because if they cover them and the price starts shooting up, it may cause bankruptcies in certain hedge funds and things like that. And it's it's a very dangerous game they've played. And now they are, losing billions of dollars every week in short costs to borrow shares. And eventually, it's cheaper for them short term to do that, but in the long term, it is not. So eventually, they are going to have to cover. They may declare bankruptcy, and so clearinghouses are going to have to front the money, which is going to cause a whole cluster of things gone wrong. And that's at least the way I could see it going. I'm not saying it will go that way, but I'm saying that seems to be one of the ways this would go if all things equal, if there's no bailouts from the government, what have you. But it is potentially such a disruptive thing to the entire market that you may see a lot of things go down very, very weird in the coming months. So brace yourself for that and eat some popcorn while you're watching. I don't know. It's definitely a very strange time to be in the market, for sure. But just protect yourself. Make sure you have great companies. Make sure you have invested in multiple companies. Your crypto holdings and things. Buy the dips, and make sure that you've done your research on the companies you own, because there's going to be a time very soon where you are going to see some dips, and you're going to see some places go out of business, and you are going to see essentially, when there's a Buffett quote, during bull markets, everyone makes hay, and he explains it as like the tide. When the tide's in, everyone's having fun, everyone's having a good time, but when the tide goes out, then you see who is swimming without any pants, who's swimming without any swim trunks on. So who's going to get caught with the shorts down, basically, when things are no longer making hay? And it's starting to happen. We're seeing corrections. Some people are saying we're going to see a huge market crash. Some people are calling for the SPY to go down to 200. I don't know about all that. But you are definitely going to see some weird shit, because there's more inflation than ever. Currently, and they're saying it's short-lived, but inflation data did come back high this month for what they expected. And yeah, it was definitely something. So it's a lot of it was blamed on the car market and the chip shortage. And yeah, that's part of it. But I mean, I go to your local grocery store and try and buy meat. It's twice what it was this time last year. If you couldn't find it last year, but it's twice what it was. There's still supply chain issues. Things will come down. I do believe that Kathy Wood is correct when she says you will get deflationary events that happen to bring prices back down. So, all right. With that, thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry this is a short episode, but again, I did have a very long weekend, and I just felt like I had to get something to you. So I figured I'd cover an in-depth kind of, lesson learned kind of deal for you. And yeah, just hit the little bases and everything. So with that, trade well, be safe, good night.